Video demonstration, Edutain business layer. This video comes in two parts. The first is a video demonstration showing the setup, runtime and invoice phases of the Edutain system, and this is the majority of this video. We conclude with an innovation summary where we discuss some of the important innovations which Edutain has achieved. Throughout this demonstration, we use a total of 5 servers remotely distributed between 3 hosters and a single coordinator. At the peak point, we'll use a maximum of 55 game clients to show the provisioning capabilities of the Edutain architecture. Our use case is the provisioning of a massively multiplayer online game, Hunter, which was developed within Edutain. This demonstration shows the cross-organisation provisioning for online gaming that Edutain supports, and the ability to scale from an initial small game with a low number of players to a large provisioning situation with many different players. Edutain demonstration setup phase. Here we have a view of the coordinator session manager, and the user will use this to set up some trade accounts with each of the 3 hosters which we'll use throughout this demonstration. The first thing to do with setting up a trade account is to request that it be opened with each of the 3 hosters, and this will turn the status of the trade account to pending credit checks. You can see that the user can use the user interface to contact the hosters directly, and this will allow each of the 3 accounts to be opened, and you can see now that all 3 are, as we said, pending credit checks. Switching to hoster A, we can see that the trade account is there, ready pending credit checks, and we can assign a credit limit. This credit limit is the number of euros that the coordinator has to spend when hosting sessions. Once the credit limit is set, the account is ready to use. Switching back to the coordinator view and the session manager, you can see now that each of the hosters have approved and set a credit limit. The accounts themselves turn to status open. These are now ready to use, and the coordinator can start negotiating a service level agreement. To negotiate an SLA, what the coordinator will do is use the session manager again to load in a previously agreed set of SLA metrics. Here you can see there are 6 metrics and a price per day. And metrics can include things like the bandwidth used, the connection count, and the peak values for the connection latency. Those values are loaded in, and the SLA is proposed to the hoster. And this is done for all 3 of the hosters, as you can see. Back with the coordinator and the quality of service monitor, we can now have a look at each of the hosters and the SLAs which are associated with them. Selecting this coordinator's global session will give a view of all of the local sessions and SLAs associated with each of the hosters that this coordinator has an agreement with. At the top you can see an entry for hoster C. Here we have a single session and no zone running. And if we scroll down a little bit, we'll see hoster A, where we have a single session and this time a single zone. This zone 0 is the zone where we'll run the Hunter game, and you'll see this throughout the rest of the demonstration. Finally, if we scroll down further, we'll see hoster B, where we have again a single session and no zone running. These 3 hosters will be used throughout the remainder of this demonstration. Edutain demonstration runtime phase. Here we are with the customer, and they have a web page open with the customer account admin page. This page is provided by the coordinator to the users of the game so that they can set up and register accounts in order to play the game. To do this, the user simply fills in some details about themselves and in particular adds in a username which will be unique to them and assigned to them for the purposes of paying for the particular game they wish to play. Once the various details have been entered, the user simply clicks Open Account and an account request is sent to the coordinator. It is then up to the coordinator to approve that request and enable the user to play the game. Over with the coordinator, you can see we have a trade account web page of their own, and this lists all of the players' accounts, whether they're open or not, and allows us to set a credit limit for this player's account so that they can play the game. Back with the game player, the customer, you can see that the account is now approved and can be logged in. This account now has, behind the scenes, an X509 security certificate which will uniquely identify the customer and allow them to connect directly to a hoster within a secure connection. You can see that the credit limit is now non-zero and they're ready to play. If they want, they can add in a few nicknames, and we'll add in a couple here just to demonstrate the feature. And these aliases can be used within the game itself to log in without putting in the user's full user account login. Now it's time for the customer to start playing the game. We'll start the Hunter client, which initially starts with a game login, and we'll use the alias which we've previously set up. This will allow us to contact the coordinator, who will be assigned a particular hoster's connection details. There we go. And this allows a direct connection from the game client running on the player's computer to the hoster they've been assigned to. This particular connection has been allocated within the context of the previously set up service level agreement, so that whilst the user is unaware of the business layer details, this game session is actually being charged to the user's account and charged to the coordinator's account by the hoster. You can see now that we're starting to add a few bots so that the Hunter game becomes more populated. Hunter itself is a first-person perspective shoot 'em up. It's got some cooperative features. You can run around, shoot the enemy, try to control areas, and try in particularly to control the big round sphere you can see in front of the screen. Hunter itself is a massive multiplayer online game which is very typical of the type of application Edutain is looking to support. Now back with the hoster A, you can see that the zone 0, which has been allocated all the bots to, has now got 30 bots running, and you can see that the client connection count metric has gone up to 30, as you'd expect. Over to the coordinator and the quality of service monitor, you can see that the coordinator has a global view of the hoster and the number of clients, 30, which are currently connected. The hoster themselves have a lower level view, which is per server, but the coordinator just sees the total number of bots connected. Now, using the coordinator session manager, we're going to migrate zone 0 from hoster A to hoster B, because hoster B has 2 servers available and can make better use of the load with the increasing number of players which are now connecting. You can see that the session manager interface controls this, but behind the scenes the local session managers at each of the hosters will actually do the zone migration for us. Now back with the game, you can see that hoster A's load has dropped to 0 and hoster B's load has gone up to 30 bots. This is because all of the clients connected from zone 0 have been moved from hoster A to hoster B. Now the client is completely unaware of this, and as you can see now, when we switch back to the game is still running fine, and we've got 30 bots running about. However, with hoster B we have 2 servers available, although not currently being used, so we're going to add 10 more bots, there we go, in order to increase the server's load and force 2 servers to be used rather than 1. This server load management is performed automatically by the Edutain system behind the scenes on the particular hoster. We can also, as you see later, do cross-hoster load management, which is controlled by the coordinator. So, looking at hoster B, you can see the plots now for both the servers running, and you can see that the second server is now starting to take some of the load of the first server and has been enabled to run bots for the particular game. Because we've now got 40 bots, roughly speaking there's a 20-20 split over the 2 servers, and this enables the hoster to maintain quality of service evenly between both of the servers. Looking at the coordinator's perspective now, we can see that through the quality of service monitor that hoster B is simply hosting 40 bots. The coordinator does not have a view of the individual servers used by each hoster, that's too low level, because the coordinator simply has the business level view. Back with the Hunter game, we can see now that the Hunter game is still running quite happily, and the user is unaware that in actual fact the load is being spread over 2 servers on a particular hoster. Now 15 more bots have been added, and this adds yet more load to the server and makes the quality of service provision a little bit more difficult for 2 servers. So what we'd like to do is show replication, where we're going to use the coordinator, here we are with the session manager, to replicate the current zone, which is running on hoster B, and make a copy of it for hoster C. This copy will initially have no bots running, but what we can now do is show the automated cross-hoster zone management, where with 2 zones available on 2 different hosters, we can spread the number of bots between the 2 hosters and thus spread the load between organizations and server resource. So here we have a view of the 2 hosters, hoster C in the top left and hoster B in the bottom right. You can see that after zone replication we have the same zone of the game running on 2 different hosters. So zone 0 is running on both hoster C and hoster B. Now the 50 odd bots which were running on hoster B, you can see now some of those are being automatically migrated to hoster C in order to balance out the load and maintain the level of quality of service for the customers. As this progresses, you can see in total about 9 bots are migrated to hoster C, and the corresponding number of bots are lowered on hoster B. The ability to migrate zones, and therefore server load, between different servers hosted at different organizations is a key innovation demonstrated by the Edutain system. Correspondingly, at the coordinator's view, you can see that hoster B also has 46 bots, and hoster C will eventually get 9 bots, giving the total of 55 bots which are running on the game at this moment in time. Back with the Hunter game, we can now see what happens when the number of bots is reduced. This time we're removing 30 bots, and the corresponding server load is reduced. Looking at the host B perspective, you can see here the server load running, and as the number of bots are reduced to 25 in total, you can see that whereas previously the two server split had occurred, we now see a server merge and we get a single server hosting all of the bots. You can see in the blue line. This will rise to 25. There we go. And this now is a host B running in single server mode. So from the quality of service monitor on the coordinator, you can see all these changes reflected again, and the plot for host B you can see dropping to 25 bots and reaching a stable state where you have a single server running at a relatively low load level. Edutain demonstration invoice phase. Over at the hoster, once the game sessions have finished and the SLA is complete, the final invoice is computed by each hoster for the coordinator. As you can see here, a bill of €166 is payable for the services rendered by this hoster to the coordinator. It is now up to the coordinator to settle any invoices out of band. Edutain has achieved two major innovations in the business area throughout its 3 years. The first innovation is in the area of scalable value networks. The current state of the art for online gaming is for a single hoster to provide all of the servers that a particular game needs and to charge for the hardware usage. Within Edutain, we have created an innovative broker pattern which allows multiple hosting organizations to have relationships with multiple coordinators, providing a very flexible and scalable value network. Our use of quality of service measurements also allows hosters to charge coordinators based on the quality of service used, not just the static hardware costs. Coupled to this, we have in Edutain the ability to migrate zones across multiple hosters and provide therefore load management across multiple organizations. This is a first for the online gaming industry.